Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvignantiye Bhurita Janaha. Thy words of immortality, they are full of divine glories. They are praised by sages. They destroy the threefold miseries of life and confer immortality. They also destroy our sins. Those, O Lord, who receive thy words are the greatest benefactors. We are on page 111. The musician asking a question. Sir, what is the way to realize God? Just a couple of paragraphs before this question, Sri Ramakrishna spoke, with the realization of Satchidananda, one goes into samadhi. Then duties drop away, etc. The impersonal reality is designated as existence, consciousness, and bliss. It does not describe, it indicates. Because you cannot describe that which is infinite. So the musician will say, Sir, what is the way to realize God? And as we have seen before, samadhi is the means. What is samadhi? And as we have spoken about it before, it's ultra concentration. So this is the key to the realization of, we call it reality or truth. This book translates it as God. So we use the word God. What is the way to realize God? The Master. Bhakti, that's devotion, is the one essential thing. Devotion. Last Sunday we spoke about the progression of bhakti. What are the signs? So it is an intense love that is directed towards one's own divinity. That is bhakti. When it transcends the ordinary transactional world, where the duality of subject-object. Here, bhakti is directed towards one's own reality, one's own soul. And that can be symbolized as a deity or any other, you can say. People have been doing that. The Master continues, to be sure, God exists in all beings here. Yeah, but then all beings are not equal. That's for sure. God exists in all beings as divinity. But the external manifestation, the coverings to that divinity are manifold. And that is what deflects the mind in the external world than in going and reaching out within. That's why he says God exists in all beings. That is. Now, where do one seek God? In temples, in churches, and synagogues? Oh no. It's in your own soul. That is there where you got to search. And as I said, ultra concentration, that means not concentration on external things, but turn your mind, as it were, inwards. And there you will find various strata of consciousness. We have the illusion of that this is consciousness and that's the only thing that exists. This thin film of consciousness is no consciousness at all. It's flimsy. There are layers and layers and or dimensions of this consciousness as we plunge within our own souls. It is there when you can realize God. Do external things help? Yes. That's necessary, because Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of you plant a sapling, it needs to be protected. It needs to be fenced. But when that sapling grows into a tree, that very fence becomes detrimental to it. So the fence has to be taken out. So initially, when the soul is aspiring to have a vision of itself, it needs support. And that's why in every religion, there is that rich symbology which helps one to hold on to and proceed. Then Sri Ramakrishna continued. Who then is a devotee? We're talking about devotion. Now, who is a devotee? He whose mind dwells on God. But this is not possible as long as one has egotism and vanity. It becomes very clear. Yeah. So, the mind dwells on God. The mind takes the form of the symbol that one is meditating upon. And that symbol, as it were, burns itself in the mind, in the conscious and in the subconscious layers also. And so that becomes your orientation. So what is a devotee? One whose mind dwells on God. Or there is a mental repetition of a mantra, or one practices yoga, or one prays. There's, I think Christ says, pray unceasingly. And the Eastern Orthodox Church makes it a central part of their discipline. Unceasing prayer. So this is how your mind is in touch with God. Now, don't take it in that sense of it's dictated culturally or something like that. Just take it's a reality. So when your mind dwells on the reality, as now each one has his or her own conception of God. This is a preliminary, you can say, stage. That does not mean that this stage is everything. It's a journey, and as we proceed, we enter into deeper and deeper realms, as I said, of consciousness. Our conceptions of the reality completely undergo change. We think we know the reality. This is real. Who said this is not real? Well, now it is proved that it cannot be absolutely real. It's there, it's now. It's not going to last. It's changing. Reality cannot undergo changes. And if it does, it's not real anymore. So our conceptions of reality will change, will evolve, that's a better word, as we proceed towards God. But then he's saying, that is not possible as long as one has egotism and vanity. Now, this is the, you can say, veil that hides you from your own divinity, from your own God. The ego aggrandizes, that is, pulls the whole world to itself. It feels it's a center of the universe. Now we say, the earth is the center of the universe. Really? That was a big mistake that theologians did. You can see everything running around the earth. And when it was found that the sun is the center of the solar system, everything fell into place. And it was revolutionary. And it increased our knowledge. So similarly, when you have the sense of everything for me, then what happens is you don't grow. Because the constraints of the ego are only interested in me and mine. It's only interested in protecting your genetic identity and maybe your psychological identity. It has created your psychology. It's that persistent sense of identity which we keep on building and building and building. Layers and layers of memories, the autobiographical memories. When this cracks, when you see there's a higher reality than this small ego, then the paradigm shifts and then you think, then knowledge increases. So that's the reason why. And in all spiritual traditions, they warn you, this is what you need to avoid. Of course, they have prayers, oh, I'm a sinner and I'm nothing but a dust on your feet, under your feet. No, that is equally bad. So, one is aware of one's divinity. That will be your identity. And on that you're going to grow. So then he gives the example, like Sri Ramakrishna always said, the water of God's grace cannot collect on a high ground of egotism, high mound of egotism. It runs down. This is well known. I am a mere machine. Yeah, this is a kind of a machine. There are so many forces, so many factors that keep us running. It's mind-boggling. Yeah, everything is mind-boggling. Ultimately, we find that there is a higher power within you. As Sri Ramakrishna said, God dwells within all beings. When you become an instrument of God's will, of power, that's a time when you have relinquished your small individuality. So that's the reason why anything high and mighty. Another indication of ignorance is egotism. Now there is a Sanskrit saying, Vidya dadati, knowledge gives you humility. And anyone in the pursuit of knowledge, genuine knowledge, you see them, interact with them, they are so humble about it. And it's humbling to you also. Oh my God, this person is down to earth. He doesn't have these great airs about it. Knowledge truly makes one soft within. But ignorance, what it does, there's nothing like me here. So this also is one way how you can judge your own self. Sri Ramakrishna continues, to Kedar and the other devotees, God can be realized through all paths. This was one of his central messages, because there has been enough of fanatical, you can say, fanaticism in this world. Thousands. Everybody says, my path alone is true and everything else is wrong. And they love their path or their religion or anything by hating everything else. That's not true love. So here he's saying God can be realized through all paths. All religions are true. The important thing is to reach the roof. You can reach it by stone stairs or by wooden stairs or by bamboo steps or by a rope. You can also climb up the bamboo poles. So in Vedanta, there are these 4 broad divisions of yoga called Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Knowledge Yoga, and Raj Yoga, the yoga that we have in Patanjali's yoga. Besides, there are other ancillary yogas, Mantra Yoga, Kundalini Yoga. They act as kind of, you can say, branches from these main yogas. So you can realize God through any path, all paths. You may say that there are many errors and superstitions in another religion. I should reply, suppose there are. Every religion has errors. Everyone thinks that his watch alone gives the correct time. It is enough to have yearning for God. And this is, he's speaking through experience. He started his spiritual journey by questioning, is this an illusion? Are you a figment of my imagination, worshipping the Divine Mother? Is it true that there are people, saints, who have seen you and interacted with you? And this brought out that great yearning to see God, realize God directly. So he started not with clearly defined paths of yoga, that he underwent long years of kind of discipline, and then he was eligible for these paths, and then just that simple yearning gave him the first visions of God. So that's why he said, it is enough to have yearning for God. Then the path, what path you are following becomes secondary. It doesn't matter at all. It's that great yearning that as it were, rips your soul apart, that you can't live without this kind of realization. We see people pursuing hundreds of things with all that energy and dedication and all these things. Yes, we can. But Sri Ramakrishna, who weeps for God? So this yearning, he used to call it Vyakulata. If you have this yearning, and there are some souls, blessed souls, in them there is a spontaneous awakening of this yearning. When does this come? It comes when you're finished off with all these experiences of the world and you find that everything is hollow. We are a little older, we can understand these things. Sensitive people, they have seen our life. It's a long, torturous path of suffering. No life is easy. No life can be ever easy. Everybody wants peace and quiet. It's not going to come to you. Nobody gets this peace and quiet. This life is a great struggle. And every life is struggling against external circumstances, with other lives, with oneself. So once you see the vanity of all things, then you give it up. Give up this small pursuit. Then the yearning starts. Is there something real? And then the clouds part. You get a glimpse. And that spurs you even more. So this is what he says. It is enough to love him and feel attracted to him. That's God. Don't you know that God is the inner guide? Yes. Now, there's another dimension to this. Sri Ramakrishna is saying that not only he dwells within us, he is also an inner guide. In the original is called Antaryami. Antar is within. Yami is a controller. He is a guide. What does he control? Does he kind of, are we just simple automatons? No. We have a degree of choices, free will. It will, not free. Nothing is free, of course. The idea of free will has been dismissed a long time ago by philosophers and now again by neurologists and psychologists. There is no free will. So, like a mother, she's a growing child, lets the child walk, toddler, and helping the child when it needs help. That's the way you get it. So one has a great degree of autonomy. And one can fashion one's own life. But you seek help, okay, yeah, this is what it is. And then the guide will lead you on the right path. So that's why he says, God sees the longing of a heart and the yearning of a soul. There it is. If we are running after hundreds of things, we have not finished all our experiences of the world. We'll need to go through a few more experiences. Yes, till you know that is the futility of all things. When death comes and stares you in the face, not you personally, when you see it around with you. Now what? Does the soul exist? Does the soul transcend death? What is the mystery? Life itself is a mystery. Death itself is a mystery. So that's why he's saying, when that yearning, that love for God is noted, then he explains, suppose a man has several sons, the older boys address him distinctly as Baba or Papa, but the babies can at best call him Ba or Pa. Now, will the father be angry with those who address him in the indistinct way? The father knows that they too are calling him, only they cannot pronounce his name well. All children are the same to the Father. Likewise, the devotees call on God alone though by different names, they call on one person only. God is one, but his names are many. Here it is. And this has been the constant theme of Vedanta. Reality can be just one. You cannot have two realities. They will stop being real. One will limit the other. Besides, that one reality has to be here. It cannot be separated by time or space. I am here and the reality is there somewhere, downtown. No, it can't be. It has to be here. Oh, the reality will appear after 12 at midnight. No, it's here. So that is how Vedanta removes of all ideas of time and space and ideas of causation. It is one. That same sun, in English it's called the sun, and in every other language, the same sun is spoken about in different words. It doesn't change the nature of the sun. The sun is the sun. So there are hundreds and thousands of languages, and in each language you will have the sun called by that very, created by culture, linguistics, etc., etc. So reality is one. Whether you call it God or Allah or Jehovah or Brahman or whatever, it's just one. And this also eliminates this fanatical, you can say, adherence to my concept alone is right, yours is wrong. If I can prove your concept is wrong, by the same token, my concept also can be proven wrong. And then they say, they take recourse. Oh, my scripture says, they say, my scripture says this. The scripture cannot be the arbiter of your quarrel. Oh, my prophet came before your prophet. Even that can hold water. So there has to be an independent agency, and that is our own reasoning faculty. As we search, we will find that there is one called indifference. So that's why he says, God is one, but his names are many. This is Sri Ramakrishna's teaching on how to realize God. And how does he do it? Bhakti, devotion. And what is bhakti? It's intense love for God, and that love for God is generated through intense yearning. How do you describe love? Nobody can describe love. It's there, it's felt. When that thing is turned towards a higher reality or higher than your own self, then it becomes bhakti. Thursday, August 24th, 1882. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to Hazra on the long northeast veranda of his room. When M arrived, he saluted the master reverentially. Master, I should like to visit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar a few more times. He had, in the previous chapter, had gone to meet this great person. He was a philanthropist, he was a great scholar, and he was a social reformer. He had many caps. And he was one of the leaders of society, not a political, etc. But people listened to him. He was a principal of a college also, etc. So he says, I would like to revisit him. The painter first draws the general outlines and then puts in the details and colors at his leisure. This is what. You put the first sketch and then you flesh it out slowly. The molder first makes the image out of clay, then plasters it, then gives it a coat of whitewash, and last of all paints it with a brush. All these steps must be taken successively. Yeah, there's a kind of a sequence, there's an art behind it. And Sri Ramakrishna himself was a good sculptor. Yeah. Vidyasagar is fully ready, but his inner stuff is covered with a thin layer. Here, saying why he wants to revisit him. Saying, yeah, he's fully ready. But in the last chapter we saw that he was so engrossed in philanthropic work that's externalized. Doing charity, etc. is good. It purifies your mind, and that selflessness is important for the rise of yoga or bhakti or karma, whatever. Without that, the mind getting internalized, it's difficult to practice any yoga. You might sit down to meditate, but your mind has been scattered outside, all over the place. So he says his inner stuff is covered with the thing. He is now engaged in doing good work, but he doesn't know what is within himself. Here, all of us are like that. We are doing hundreds of things. We don't realize what is hidden within. So he gives an example. A gold is hidden within. That means God dwells within us. If one knows that, one feels like giving up all activities and praying to God with a yearning soul. Oh yeah. Suddenly, we are in a kind of a running through a maze, and then we clear the maze and we come on the open meadow, and what happens is you completely change. The person who has not seen the Pacific has seen a few streams and maybe a river. When he comes to it completely changes. This is exactly how it happens. When you pursue your inner life, it grows and grows, and then there are some obstacles that just fall off. And then you see that vastness. People think, oh, you go inside, what is there? It's even vaster than this entire world outside. Yes, this entire world seems later on to be just a small, hideous, deformed caricature of reality. And then when you go inside, my God, it's vast. That's because the body is limited. Everything that has name and form is limited. The mind is subtle. And as you enter in the realms of the mind, you enter into vastness. Right now, our minds are just enmeshed in the body completely. And if the mind can be detached from that body, there it is. You can feel it is subtle, it is vast. There you can get the ideas of infinity. Then Sri Ramakrishna continues. So the master talked with M, now standing, now pacing up and down the long veranda. Then he says, a little spiritual discipline is necessary in order to know what lies within. Here it is. People give all kind of arguments about their reality or the external reality or against or whatever. But without spiritual disciplines, you are just superficial. If a person has been spending some 20 or 30 years studying, say, an atom, that person will speak with authority. I have read a few things about atom and I speak about atom. It's superficial. So that person has undergone 20 or 30 years of real, rigorous discipline. That person can speak with authority. He understands that it's dimensionless. Yeah, it appears like this. So similarly, we'll speak about God. God, He's compassionate, He's loving. You look around and see there's mayhem everywhere. And if the God is that compassionate God, oh my God, what's God doing here? I don't think He has got compassion. Look at any place, anywhere in the world. The whole world is locked with the eater and eaten, the killer and the killed, everywhere, from the lowest to the highest. That's a great chaos that's going on there. And then there are some people who are killed because of earthquakes or tsunamis or whatever. And what is God doing there? The compassionate one. So these are the questions that will come up to you. That's why I say a little spiritual discipline is necessary in order to know what's inside him. Is it necessary to practice discipline all through life? The master is compassionate now. We are in the compassionately. No. Thank God. But one must be up and doing in the beginning. That is what is recommended. After that, one need not work hard. So here, then he explains, the helmsman stands and clutches the rudder firmly as long as the boat is passing through waves, storms, high wind, or around the curves of a river. But he relaxes after steering through them. As soon as the boat passes the curves and the helmsman feels a favorable wind, he sits comfortably and just touches the rudder. Next, he prepares to unfurl the sail and gets ready for a smoke. Likewise, the aspirant enjoys peace and calm after passing the waves and storms of this lust and greed, etc. So here are that turbulence. Once you cut through that turbulence, you cross that, then you are sailing on safe waters. So initially, one needs to be up and doing. And then what happens is that very momentum will keep you going on. Then it becomes very easy. You don't need to be doing that intense spiritual disciplines like you did in the beginning. So, then I say, there are some who are born with the characteristics of a yogi. But they too should be careful. Yes, it is lust and greed alone that is an obstacle. It makes them deviate from the path of yoga and drags them into worldliness. So this also is there are some who are born with some good characteristics. They can easily get into yoga. Not that yoga is a closed door for the rest. No, it's nothing like that. They find that they progress very quickly. This has been dealt with in the Bhagavad Gita also. So they pick up where they left off when they were practicing yoga, and then they pass away or they die. Yeah. So next time they come, they'll pick up from where they had left off and proceed. So yoga can be had. It means that you have been practicing this particular discipline. This is the great doctrine of reincarnation. It has to have a continuity. You cannot just fall down from the skies and then disappear from this and go somewhere else. Every life is a continuation. Every life. Everything in this world is a continuation. You cannot have, certain things suddenly pop up and then, then they'll remain forever. It's not possible. If it's going to remain forever, it has been there from the very beginning. It has been there existing in the past, in the present, in the future. So this is that long series of experiences that we are going to go. So yoga also is like that. You practice something, did it a little, and then you pick it up. It's in the Bhagavad Gita, the 6th chapter, it's called Yoga Bhrashta, one who has fallen from the path of yoga. Then he takes that path up again. That's why he says some are born with the characteristics of a yogi. So perhaps they have some desire for enjoyment. That's talking about yogi. After fulfilling their desires, they again direct their minds to God and thus recover the former state of mind, fit for the practice of yoga. This is what it is. Okay. We can stop here for questions if they are. But like I said, so it's your role. It's you're supposed to do it. So what's God's role? God is the inner guide. As Sri Ramakrishna says, you take one step towards God, God takes 10 steps towards you. God is always there as an inner guide, dwells in all beings, not only human, everywhere. He is there to help you, guide you. The moment you take a right step in that direction, you will receive help. And as I said, comes from within. So we take the questions. Okay. Okay. How can we nourish our yearning to have a manifestation of God like Sri Ramakrishna and the need to see his mother Kali? Oh. Intensity or yearning for God always begets more yearning. You yearn. It's like, it's a constant practice. The more you practice, the better you become at anything. So if you have a lukewarm yearning, you can make it blaze brighter by prayers, vigils, fast, meeting with other devotees, talking to them, like listening to these talks, etc., etc. And then knowing that ultimately this life itself and all that it has acquired for you is an illusion. And then you want to know the reality. So this yearning has to be cultivated, and then it keeps on increasing by itself as you feed it. The more you feed it, the stronger it becomes. Of course, in other places, Sri Ramakrishna himself has said, well, this yearning itself, if it comes to you, know that is the grace of God. So here it is. So now you know God has been gracious to you, and it will increase. It is increasing. Because everything, like, you start something, and then that one thing will lead you to the second, and second will to the third and fourth and fifth. And after a while you see, oh, you've come a long way. I started this thing. And if it's a good thing, it's a good result. But we have a foolishness, and we start something foolish, and we end up regretting, oh, why did I ever start? So that's the laws of karma, Once you start something, it's going to lead you to something else, and it's a chain reaction. Everything in this world is like this. We took a misstep, and then now we are regretting it. Similarly, you take the right step, and it keeps on growing. There's a chain reaction there also. Okay. So this is how we approach God. Just yearning. And it will lead you to. Because in the case of Sri Ramakrishna himself, and in the case of the other disciples also, you find this great yearning that I must see the reality. I must see it now. And then, the yearning like a baby whose mother has gone to the next room and suddenly feels everything is kind of dark and black. Where's mom? And yells. And the mother comes in, hey. So Sri Ramakrishna usually used to give this kind of example. So when your egotism and your vanity and all these things just go off, then you'll find the yearning to see God is increasing. Okay? And as I said, this egotism and vanity and all the other negative things, host of negative things, It's the ego. On that ego, the whole world of illusion has been built. So once that is cracked, everything, you see the light. And this is how the more you love God, the more you know about Him. The more you know about God, the more you love Him. And this is how you read about the lives of saints, see how intensely they lived their life. And you'll get inspiration there. Okay. I hope I've answered your question. Okay. Okay. You have any questions here?
Very interesting.
Ah.
I want to ask about the person who's talented for yoga. You said that he could put it down and then pick up where he left off later. And somehow you seem to relate this to reincarnation being universal. It's an interesting connection you drew there.
Yes. The question is, he'll pick up yoga where he left off. And then a friend says, yeah, you got an interesting connection between this and reincarnation. I'm looking at it from the broader point of view. Okay, I practiced yoga for 1 year, and for 2 years, I've just not bothered about it. And then I come back after 3 years. That is one way of looking at it. Okay, I keep on. Oh, I used to do that. So you pick up from there. But yoga cannot be attained in one lifetime. The real yoga. I'm not talking about these physical hatha yoga and this and that. The real yoga, where the soul, your soul, plunges into the reality. It's like a drop of water is falling down in the Pacific Ocean. And then what happens? It becomes the ocean. That is yoga. It comes from the word, the English word is yoke, to yoke. That's the word yoga has come from, to yoke. So that is a tremendous state. Because even the scripture, Bahunam Janmanam Anti, at the end of many births, these mighty yogis, they have practiced all this. Yes, but now can you do it in one lifetime? Yes. It's not necessary to have a kind of series of. You can, but the intensity has to be tremendous. You'll have to give up everything for this and practice. So it's that. And if you, like you might succeed, okay, I got it. Then what about the others who are not so equally endowed like you? I'll take it easy for a while. Oh, they kind of stop their practices, and then what happens? It'll come back to them. But you're not ready for it now. You'll come back to her. So this creates this vast differentiation. General reincarnation in general, yes, it is. In fact, I'll be talking on the 15th of this month on reincarnation, fact or fiction. Come over for that. Everything. Your cells are being reincarnated. Everything is being reincarnated as well. Yes, the old ones are dying and new ones are being created constantly. The whole world is nothing but, everything is a big, huge recycle bin. Nature is a great recycler. You think she creates something new? Oh no. It's not just reincarnation. You say this creation has come from where, from the previous creation. You cannot have a creator minus creation. If you have a creator, you always have to have creation. Got this? So if you say creation will end here, that means your God also will end there. We cannot have that. So if you have an eternal God, you got to have an eternal creation. And if you got to have an eternal creation, You've got to have eternal souls. That is what jumps. It's an old Greek idea. Not only Greek, in many cultures. So this is what he's saying. Pick up from. You see children, young children, suddenly they pick up the violin and start playing. Hey, where did you start this? Or the piano? They play it like a kind of maestro. So where did they go? Not in this lifetime. Their parents could not afford a piano. And the child, the moment he sits down, so the big questions. It's a big questions about existence itself. You cannot have something just appear suddenly and disappear suddenly. That is not existence. That is an illusion. It cannot be the reality. So there has to be a kind of a persistence. There has to be an eternality. And what is that? The only thing eternal within you, immortal within you, is that soul. But it has been, like Sri Ramakrishna said, covered with the veil of egotism and vanity, etc. So that's what conceals your own glory. Okay. So, yeah.
So, we talk about yearning and God realization or realization of reality. The yearning has to go with the strong spiritual practice.
Yearning has to go along with?
Strong spiritual practice, right? So my question is...
Yeah, it is conditional. At the same time, if you have yearning, then you automatically will undergo spiritual disciplines. And contrary-wise also, like your question is, yeah.
But I'm not talking of the yearning that Sri Ramakrishna had.
Oh.
So if you have if you have the intention, I would say the intention. If you have intention of getting some sense of it, and you need the discipline, but you're getting distracted. So does it mean that you don't have the intention or you don't have the discipline?
You have. The question was for the online audience. There are times when you have a tepid yearning for God, and then you practice spiritual disciplines. Or you practice spiritual disciplines, and that generates yearning for God or reality. Now, what happens in this case is, as I had spoken, everything starts small and then balloons up. It's like, a landslide or whatever. It starts small. So when you are in that stage of a tepid yearning and then practicing spiritual disciplines, you get all these distractions. Yes, it will come. But if you hold on to this idea that I will continue yearning and practicing spiritual discipline despite all the distractions, that is a test. So, life deludes you with thousands of distractions. But, Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of when a soldier is advancing and he's asked to go forward. It's like his eyes, his vision is on the fixed bayonet. He's got a bayonet on that front of the rifle and he's working. So you keep your focus there, distractions will come and they will go away. So you keep on, and as you said, initially you got to really be up and doing. And then once you cross the rough waters, then it becomes very easy. Then, like I said, the momentum itself is there. So initially you have to push, and that will generate yearning, that generates spiritual discipline, and spiritual disciplines, like again, It will generate the yearning. Yes, it's like, I remember some of the old swamis, oh my God, they used to sit down to meditate, and when they used to sit down to meditate, they used to sit down with their eyes closed, and when they used to open their eyes, it was morning. They used to meditate the whole night, and they used to feel, yeah, I'm going to crack it today. Today I'm going to really plunge inside. And here, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. They used to feel that, have that kind of, like we sit down and we are not focused. Okay, we do it routine. Try to bring that kind of, today I'm going to crack this code. Today I'm going to hit it. And for the time being, keep away, switch off your phones, switch off everything. And for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just plunge in. And that is the way to generate the intensity. Okay. We can stop here for today. As I said, Friday, we are going to take Girish Chandra Ghosh. He was a great Bohemian devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. He had committed every sin under the sun and under the moon and under the stars and everything. Sri Ramakrishna never told him, hey, this guy is a goner. Nothing. He transformed him.
Did you say on Friday you're going to talk about this particular disciple?
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Girish Chandra Ghosh. Yeah.
Is there a part 2 of
Surendra Mitra? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh. Okay, wait. Yeah. We'll take it up next Friday. Not this coming Friday, but yeah, thank you, Swami Avikarananda. So, yeah, that is the second part of Surendra. Even this Surendra Mitra that we are talking, he was a drunkard. And he did everything. And yet, Sri Ramakrishna never scolded him, never told him, hey, you drink, you don't come here. Nothing like that. He changed him by giving him a lofty ideal. And the things just dropped off by themselves. Okay. So we will take Girish Ghosh after Surendranath Mitra. And one was kind of the same type, but the magnitude was large, Girish Chandra Ghosh. And Sunday, 8th, we have Swami Abhedananda, his birthday. He spent about 25 years in the US. He came following Swami Vivekananda's, you can say, command to go and preach Vedanta here. That was in the early 1900s, from 1901, 2, 3, right up there. So he was here, and his contribution is great. He traveled a lot. They also say he came to Seattle also, but he was stationed in New York. So he was a great yogi. Like about him, when he came to Sri Ramakrishna saying, can you teach me yoga? A young boy. Sri Ramakrishna looked at him. Yeah, I'll teach you yoga. You were a yogi in your previous life. Sri Ramakrishna could see that. A little is remaining here. He was a great yogi. And Mother's Children will meet again on Sunday. Okay, thank you. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.